You make $100,000 a year. A few years ago, that number sounded like enough to buy a normal house. But this afternoon, you walk into an open house, hear the agent say that serious buyers should get their offer in tonight, and realize you may still not be ready. The house is not fancy. The kitchen has been updated. The backyard is small. There are 2 bedrooms upstairs, and one smaller room you have already imagined turning into an office. It is not your dream house. It is not a rich person's house. It is just the kind of place you always thought a few years of hard work would eventually put within reach. You nod like you are prepared. For years, a 6-figure income felt like the line you were trying to cross. Once you got there, buying a home was supposed to stop being a fantasy. You were not asking for the most expensive neighborhood or a perfect life. You just wanted a place that belonged to you, where you would not have to worry every year about the rent going up. Then you open the loan estimate and go straight to the monthly payment. The number on the screen makes you quiet for a few seconds. It is not so high that you close the page immediately, but it is high enough that you start cutting pieces out of your future. Maybe fewer trips. Maybe furniture can wait. Maybe you keep the old car. Maybe your emergency fund does not need to be as big as you thought. You are still standing in someone else's kitchen, and you are already shrinking the next few years of your life to make this house fit. The agent walks over and asks if you have a pre-approval letter. You say yes, then open the file from the bank. She glances at it and nods, because she sees these numbers every day. But this time, you do not just look at the approval amount. You notice the smaller lines underneath. The monthly payment can change. Taxes can change. Insurance depends on the final quote. Closing costs need to be paid separately, and the bank still has to review your debt and cash reserves. That is when you realize the bank is not impressed by how nice your salary looks. It wants to know how much money is left every month after everything else has already taken its share. Your paycheck comes in, but it does not arrive untouched. Taxes come out. Insurance comes out. A car payment may come out. Credit cards may come out. Food, gas, phone bills, internet, and normal life all come out. If you have student loans, those are part of the picture too. What is left after all of that is the number the bank actually cares about, because the house is going to take the biggest, most fixed, and hardest to reverse piece of that number every single month. You used to think the most important thing about buying a house was the price. Now, looking at your phone, you understand that the real pressure is not just the number on the listing. It is the amount you have to send out every month. The price is only the first layer. Inside the payment are interest, property taxes, home insurance, and sometimes monthly community fees. Each one looks small on its own. Together they decide whether the house is affordable or whether buying it means living tight every day after. You put the phone back in your pocket and keep walking through the house. When you first came in, the kitchen looked like a place where you might make coffee on a Sunday morning. Now it makes you think about the payment. The backyard looked like a place for a grill. Now you think about maintenance and insurance. The small room upstairs felt like a life upgrade. Now it reminds you that if something breaks, there will not be a landlord to call. Then you walk down to the basement and see an old water stain in the corner. The seller's notes say it was already fixed. The agent says that kind of thing is common in older homes. Maybe she is right, but you still stare at it for a little longer than you planned to. When you rent, a water stain is an email. You take a picture, send it to the property manager, and wait for someone else to deal with it. When you own the house, the stain is yours. Maybe it is nothing. Maybe it is a few $1,000s. Maybe the problem is already over, or maybe it is the beginning of the next repair bill. That is when the house starts to look different. Buying it does not end when you make the down payment and get the keys. The house keeps aging. The air conditioner can break. Insurance can rise. Taxes can change. And none of these things become cheaper just because you worked hard to get here. A laugh comes from upstairs. You walk back into the living room and see the young couple from earlier standing with their parents. They are not asking whether they can afford the house. They are asking how to make the seller say yes faster. The father says the down payment money is ready. The mother asks whether they should offer a little more if there are too many other buyers. You stand nearby and hear it, and suddenly understand that some people did not come here with just their salary. They came with a family behind them. For a moment, it feels like you have been watching the wrong game. You thought buying a house was about who earned more, who saved better, and who prepared longer. But some buyers bring more than income. They may have parents who can help with the down payment. They may have sold a previous home and walked in with cash from the increase in value. They may have entered the market years ago, when interest rates were lower and the monthly payment was easier to carry. You are all standing in the same living room, looking at the same ordinary house, but you did not all walk in with the same cards. That is the painful part of a six-figure income. It sounds like you have won a level, but once you step into the housing market, it sometimes only lets you see how many more levels are still above you. If you already own a home, rising prices can increase your wealth. When you buy the next place, you may bring that money with you. But if you do not own a home yet, almost everything has to come from your paycheck. While you save for the down payment, the target may move higher. While you wait for rates to fall, other buyers are waiting too. By the time your income goes up, insurance, taxes, and everyday costs may have already taken away part of the room you gained. You are not standing still, but the doorway is moving too. The agent reminds everyone again that offers should not wait until tomorrow. You stand near the dining room and look at the house one last time. You have already imagined driving to work from here in the morning, cutting the grass on weekends, turning the small room upstairs into an office, and finally not refreshing rental listings every year. None of those dreams are unreasonable. They are ordinary. But now you understand that ordinary does not mean easy. You used to think an ordinary house was something a normal person could buy after working hard enough. Now you can see how many conditions have to line up first. You need income, but not just income. You need low debt, enough cash, a manageable loan, insurance and taxes that do not crush the budget, and sometimes help from family just to feel confident making an offer. You do not submit an offer that day, not because you dislike the house. The opposite is true. You like it enough to be afraid of what you might ignore in order to get it. When you walk out, the pre-approval letter is still on your phone. Your salary is still real. Your work still matters. But your understanding of that number has changed. It used to mean safety. It used to mean you had crossed some line and that normal goals should start becoming real. Now it feels more like a light. It shows you how many things have to go right before buying a home actually works. You sit in your car and do not start the engine right away. The house is still there in the mirror. A few minutes ago, it looked like the next step in your life. Now it looks like a larger question. If someone can earn $100,000 a year and still sit outside an ordinary house, wondering whether they can really afford it, then buying a home is no longer just a test of income.